G'day Rugby League Tragics, the Rugby League Guy here. Welcome to episode 2 of the Rugby League Guy. A little bit to get through today, but before I do get started, I just want to give a big shout out to CJ from the Final Tackle podcast, who is helping me out with some of my video editing and some of the Gucci imaging you'll see here on the Rugby League Guy Facebook page, and eventually we'll be going across to YouTube. So no doubt he'll be giving me a bit of a hand with some of that gear. So thanks to CJ. Now, as you may have noticed, I'm donning the 2004 Canterbury Butcher Stripes, the Bulldogs Butcher Stripes. What do you do when your team's coming last and has been all year? You cast your mind back to a very good time in their existence. And of course, 2004 was the last year they won a comp. So I thought for today's video, I'd don the old the Butcher Stripes of the 2004 Bulldogs. All right, bit to get through today. So first of all, you may have heard that Bronson Xerri from the Sharks looks like his B sample has come back positive to anabolic steroids. Now, of course, it's all alleged. I'm only going on news reports I've read. But he is looking down the barrel of a 4-year ban, which Sandor Earl was also a recipient of a few years back. Of course, he's now with the Melbourne Storm, but it's no doubt, sullied his career. And I'm just thinking that a young gun like Bronson Xerri, really, he had a lot going for him. I just can only think he's copped a ton of bad advice in his decision to go and indulge in anabolic steroids. He just seems like a young, impressionable guy who's probably listened to the wrong people. So whilst I don't condone it in any way, shape or form, the use of performance-enhancing drugs or drugs of any type for that matter, I've got to say sometimes young people do dumb things and make silly decisions on the back of bad advice. Look, I hope he learns a valuable lesson from this should he be found guilty and suspended for the 4 years. It's not the end of the world, mate. You just got to work hard to get back. So stick with it. Do what you're good at and just do it within the realms of the laws of the game. So good luck to him, albeit, if he's found out, he's done the crime, he'll do the time. Moving on to the Broncos coach, obviously Anthony Seibold is now gone, and they're looking to a new coach for 2021 and beyond. As I've said before, I think it's really down to two, with Paul Green and Kevy Walters. I love Kevy. I've met Kevy, lovely guy. But I just feel as though Paul Green is probably the man for the job. I just think he's probably got that little bit more mongrel in him, which is probably what the Broncos need at the moment. But having said that, you couldn't go wrong with Kevy in there either. But I feel personally Paul Green's the best man for that job, and allow Kevy to get on with coaching Queensland, which again, of course, as we know, State of Origin is going to happen in November, and likely that will become an annual time slot for the Origin series rather than the middle of the year as we've come to know it. I don't think it's a bad thing. I quite like the idea, having given it some thought, of playing that series at the end of the season rather than mid-season. It just cancels out some of the disruptions. How it factors in with player injuries and the like, we'll have to wait and see, but not all things COVID have been bad. But I think let Kevy do the coaching of Queensland. I think he's the right man for that job, and I think Paul Green will be the right man for the Broncos job. Todd Payten, if not already today, soon to be announced, I believe today, that he will be the Cowboys coach for the next few years. I like Todd Payten. I didn't know too much about him as a coach other than that he was an assistant coach. But, when you consider what he's done with the Warriors, he's done a fantastic job. You've got to remember those guys have stayed in Australia with family back in New Zealand. A couple of them did go back. They've got players on loan. There's all sorts of things going on there at the Warriors. There would be plenty of reasons for them to have excuses about poor performances, but they've dug in deep every week. Full credit to them, and of course to Todd Payten for getting them across the line each week and having a crack. So I'm assuming it's just a formality now. They're talking about contract arrangements, but the deal is done by all accounts. So congratulations, Todd Payten. Well done. And he's hoping you can take the Cowboys into that next generation. Benji Marshall, as you may have heard overnight, has been told that he will not have a place at the Tigers in 2021. Watching on NRL 360 last night as they interviewed Benji, I was disappointed to learn that he read about his demise at the Tigers in the Sydney Morning Herald and hadn't heard anything from the club. Contacted coach Michael Maguire, who said, give me 24 hours and I'll get back to you. Did that yesterday and basically confirmed that there's no place there for Benji. Benji took it all very well. Full credit to Benji, just a complete professional, but you can tell there's definite hurt and disappointment there. You can't hide that. I think the Tigers, as they have done a few times over the years, I really believe they've dropped the ball on how they deal with players and coaches. At a board level, management level, I think Benji deserved better. As he said himself, it's a business, and it is. People need to get past this whole theory that rugby league still holds any level of commitment or loyalty from players. The reality is it's a business, and these players have a limited time frame in which to make a living for their families, and so I know players want to be loyal, but it doesn't always pan out that way. And I know that Benji never wanted to leave the Tigers in the first place. He was delighted to come back, and he would have loved to have seen out his career there, as he said. But he believes he's still got some rugby league in him. I agree. Based on what I've seen from Benji this year, I think he's probably still got a good couple of years left in him, if I'm honest. It may come as no surprise that I'm about to put it out there that I think Benji would be a golden asset to the Bulldogs. His experience, a combination with Blake Green once he's back from the ACL injury next year, I just think it creates not just two good halves for the next couple of years, but a really good mentor partnership for the likes of Lockie Lewis, who I'm still a big fan of, and I think we need to retain him. But I think under the coaching of Trent Barrett, who was a halfback in his previous life, as I mentioned in episode 1, I think he's going to be great for Lockie Lewis. But I also think that if we had Benji there and Blake Green, wow, what a transformation. And I'd be willing to say that I reckon the Dogs could be a top 8 team next year with Benji there. All right, now, round 16, a bit of a review. So Souths 38, Parramatta 0. I think it goes without saying that the Eels were probably caught a little bit underdone. Brad Arthur admitted as much, that perhaps they just didn't give enough respect to the Rabbitohs, who of course are, like a lot of teams, suffering a few injuries, probably didn't have their top squad in place. So ultimately the Eels went in, probably a little underdone attitude-wise, and they got a spanking off the Rabbitohs 38-0. Titans 14-10 over the Dragons. I tipped that one. I also tipped the Bunnies to beat the Eels. So at that stage, I'm 2 from 2. Good win from the Titans. Good win away from home as well. So Justin Holbrook, as I said before, doing some great things there, and it's only going to get better for them. Probably no surprises that the Roosters gave the Broncos a little bit of a touch up, 58-12 there. The Roosters, they're just going from strength to strength, and as I said, they've got players trickling back into their lineup from injury. So again, at the right time of the season, they're only going to get stronger and stronger. The Warriors, again, like I said before, they've just kept hanging in there, and they a really good win over the Knights. I tipped that one as well. So at this stage, I'm 4 from 4, and I'm feeling pretty good about things. But unfortunately, the next game let me down, and that was the Cowboys and the Sharks. I took the Cowboys. I just had a feeling that they were due for something, but the Sharks played a fairly solid game at home and got the Cowboys there. Penrith Tigers, again, a bit of a no-brainer. If you're a Tigers fan, you're sitting in there and you're hoping that the Tigers are going to offer something, but they were just fairly poor again, and Penrith, of course, made it 11 from 11. So well done to the Panthers, going from strength to strength. And another reason I can't wait to get Trent Barrett into a blue and white polo shirt in 2021. Melbourne Manly, again, it was a fairly easy pick. Melbourne, I thought they were solid in the end. Manly sort of started off okay, looked like they were going to offer something, but again, just fell by the wayside and probably showed that their depth isn't. It's about as shallow as a kiddie's pool, let's face it. And last but not least, my beloved Bulldogs. There I was thinking, this is it, we've got it. Yes, upset of the round, upset of the year. 20 points to 12, half-time lead, and we go down 34-20. Now, Steve Georgalis talks about a period through the game of about 15 minutes where everybody just switches off and they just start playing away from the game plan and doing their own thing, and it's a bit of hit and miss, and he's right. But you cannot keep changing teams the way the line-up every week like he's doing. I'm not sure in its entirety why he's doing that. I know he's probably trying to give everyone an opportunity to prove themselves for contracts, etc., but it's just very hit and miss. But the effort from the Dogs again, well done, boys. Can't question the effort. We just need someone who's going to give us a game plan. Simple as that. So that's the round 16 review. My tips finished 6 from 8. So not debaucherous, but certainly not going to win me a comp anytime soon. All right, moving on now to the round 17 tips. So we've got the Broncos and the Panthers. No brainer, got to go the Panthers there. Even though it's at Suncorp, I think Penrith will run holes through the Broncos, although they've got a couple of players. Payne Haas is one of them returning. Might strengthen them a bit. Not saying it'll be a flogging, but I think the Panthers will just be too good and we'll go 12 from 12. Next game, Newcastle Cronulla. I've taken the Knights in that one. The Knights, really, Adam O'Brien has got to do something to get these guys firing. Cronulla, again, probably not too convincing, not really playing with any consistency, and the Knights probably got more to play for. That doesn't mean anything in a lot of terms, but I think that the Knights will get up there, particularly at home. Rabbitohs Melbourne. I've gone Melbourne. Souths were on fire last week. I really enjoyed watching Souths last week. They were really good with the ball in their hands. They've lost Latrell Mitchell, of course, probably for a month or so. But I just think, look, Melbourne's Melbourne, and this time of year they're going to be tough to beat. Cameron Smith, hopefully for the Storm, we'll have a decision on his future at the end of this week. But I think he's going to stay there for another year and probably end up coaching. If not, likelihood's going to be the Broncos, I would think. Although there's some talk he might do a year at the Titans and then coach there. I think he's going to want to go with some strength, and it's either going to be stay at Melbourne with a view to taking over from Craig Bellamy as coach after another year in the number 9, or possibly the Broncos. But my money's on staying at Melbourne at the moment, which means they're probably going to lose Brandon Smith or the other fella, young Harry. So Bulldogs Titans again. I've never in my 48 years tipped against my beloved Bulldogs. It's not about to start this week. The Titans are my quasi team. They're my second side. Not that I really have a second side. I'm a believer you only have one team and one team only, but I live on the Goldie. I know a few of the Titans boys. They're an awesome little club. So I've tipped the Dogs, but I won't be completely upset if the Titans get up. Manly Tigers. I've gone the Tigers. I'm just giving them that one last chance to show something, and hopefully on the back of Benji being told he's not required there next year, he might pull something special out of the bag. Then we're on to the Raiders and the Roosters. Look, Sonny Bill's returning, and there's every reason to think that the Roosters are going to be on fire, but it's in Canberra, and I'm taking the Raiders. Jack Whiten is playing out of his skin at the moment. I love what I'm seeing from the Raiders, and am quite happy to tip them, even with SBW returning. Then Warriors versus the Eels. Look, it's one of those games you'd love to tip the Warriors and see them get up, and I hope they do. But for the sake of some tips, I've gone with the Eels. I don't see Brad Arthur putting up with the display they put out last week. I don't think we'll see that 2 weeks in a row, and I think they'll certainly be on their game this week. So the Eels for me. Last but not least, the Cowboys and the Dragons. I've taken the Dragons only because I think I was fair in giving the Cowboys an opportunity to prove me wrong last week against the Sharks, and they let me down. So I'm going for the Dragons, plus one of my twin daughters is a Dragon supporter, so this one's for you, Shady. All right, so now that's it for this episode. If you have any burning issues, any topics of conversation you want to discuss, let me know and we'll throw them into the next video. In the meantime, keep loving rugby league, and we'll see you for episode 3 very soon. Go the Dogs. Take care from the Rugby League Guy.